Hi, I'm Myra.
And I'm Maureen.
Welcome to Halo Halo Conversations, a mixture of childhood memories, family stories, and lessons we've learned along the way.
We started this podcast to stay connected as sisters living in different states and to share our stories about growing up as Filipino kids in the 90s, moving to the US, and figuring out life along the way.
If you've ever felt caught between cultures, wanted a little nostalgia, or just enjoy real-life stories with a sprinkle of humor, this podcast is for you. All right, Ate. Today's episode is all about siblings. The love, the fights, and sometimes the surprises you didn't see coming.
Oh, yeah, definitely a lot of fights. So, you and I were pretty close growing up, and yeah, we fought. But honestly, I think I fought more with our brother Ryan more than anyone else. He was our Lola's favorite and also our mom's favorite, even though she's never going to admit it. So I'm the oldest. Myra is the second. Ryan is the third. And then Richie, he's the baby. So we're all about 2 years apart.
Yep, and somehow Ate always seemed to be the person in charge when mommy and daddy are not here or abroad or just like kind of like the boss or whatever.
I mean, yeah, I did boss you guys around a little bit. I will admit to
A little
that.
bit.
I will admit to that. But the thing is, it's like you and Richie were always good. You always kind of followed what I said. And then I used to have you guys take sides, like who's right or who's wrong. It's just Ryan never agreed with me. So he would always fight with me. So that's why we butted heads a lot.
Yeah, that's an understatement. Always fighting, always, oh, you take my side, and if you don't take my side, I'll be mad at you. It's like, what? Like, okay. And, of course, when you're younger, it's like, I'll give you this or whatever if you take my side or that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, so as you already know, while our parents were overseas, our grandma raised us. And we bonded more, obviously, when we moved, especially in the US. You being the boss, you also bossed around our cousins, not just us, but also Jason and Carl.
I didn't boss them around. So
Yeah.
so our cousins, Jason and Carl, they lived next door to us. So when we moved back to Missouri, we were all living in a townhouse. So there's like a set of 4 townhouses and they live to the townhouse right next to us. So whenever there would be fights, like
Oh, God.
they would always hear it because they were just next door.
Right next door. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And they already know automatically that Ate and Ryan somehow got into a disagreement. But, that's typical, right? Sibling rivalry and just when you're just cooped up in the house, it's bound to happen. People that have siblings or have like close cousins, you know that there's always going to be disagreements, I think. So.
Yeah. So we always fought. And I remember one afternoon, like, I don't even remember what it was that we fought about, but I got so mad at him. This was, mind you, at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, after school.
Probably?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he made me mad and I went ahead and like threw his stuff outside. So that's when our cousins next door, Jason and Carl, he was like, what's going on? So I'm sure he asked Ryan what was going on outside and then he probably stayed at their place while I kicked him out, because like I threw his stuff out. But
I don't remember the specific story either. I just know that like you guys would always throw things at each other, threaten each other with knives and stuff like that. You guys are nuts.
That was like one time. It was not like multiple times.
But still, like you guys are crazy.
Yeah, but you know what though? I was smart because I kind of timed it to where like, okay, I kicked them out, let's say around like 2 or 3 o'clock. And then by the time it was closer to when our parents were coming home from work, I made sure that I resolved the issue with him. Yeah, I resolved the issue with him. And so like that time that I threw out his stuff, I talked to him and then we brought his stuff in and I think it was fine. But he didn't tell my parents about what happened. So everything was fine after that.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember that specific story, like not the exact what happened, all I just remember is you guys always screaming. And then, yes, like we get involved, but then somehow you guys make up, and then everything's okay by the time mommy and daddy get home. So
Yeah.
what are you
So
gonna do?
yeah, but I feel like I always made it a point to like communicate with all of you. Like I usually am the one that's like reaching out to all of my siblings, even to our mom. But I mean, I feel like you also reach out to mommy, but I
Wait, you're
think
talking about now, right? Like fast forward to
yes.
now. Oh, okay,
Yes.
okay.
Fast forward to now, I feel like I'm the one that's always makes it a point to reach out to all of you to still maintain that connection. I probably haven't done it more often, like with Ryan and Richie, because ever since my dad passed away back in 2015, that's when mommy and Ryan left Missouri and they moved to Maryland. And then Richie, our youngest, moved to California for a job. And then I stayed in Missouri because that's where my husband's from. And then, we raised our daughters here, but Myra also moved away.
Right. So for me, I left Missouri in 2000 when I graduated high school. So I moved to New Jersey, and my then boyfriend, Jay, now husband with our three children. So after graduating high school, I went here. I took like a semester off, and then I started college 2001. But anyway, I don't want to bore you guys with the details, but basically I went to school for computer science, and then I was also working full time while in college, and graduated 2005, and then 2008 is when we had our first daughter, and now fast forward to three kids. So yeah, so that's when the time that I left Missouri. I honestly think that I'm one of the ones that's not the greatest with keeping in touch. Ate knows that. My parents always gave me a hard time for that too, but then I think as I became older and became a mom, I wanted to have that connection with my family. So, like I said, I might not be the best, but I try my best at least to communicate and to keep in touch. And honestly, I feel like more so to, my sister more than all my other siblings. I feel like I am better at communicating with her, keeping in touch with her, and keeping her involved with what's going on with my life and my family's life. So,
Yeah, same
yeah.
here because I think you and I are still very close to this day. So we try to talk every day if we could. But sometimes you get busy with life and you get busy with kids that you don't really have that time to talk every day. But, we try to make it a point, like when she's going to work or something like that, we would call each other and
Just
just
kind
kind
of like
of
catch up.
yes. So here's where it gets wild. So back in 2003 or 4, right? We discovered we had a bonus sister. So here's a little backstory about that. So our dad, he kind of had a complicated past. So I mean, I would call it a dirty bleep, but yeah, he had a complicated past. So apparently
Dirty bleep, dirty laundry, or some type of like skeletons in his
he had a
closet. Oh my God. What is wrong with you? I was just gonna say, like, skeletons in his closet. Sheesh.
no, we
What
had a
the
dirty ass. Anyway,
Oh my God.
apparently we had a brother that came before me.
Older
Yeah, an older
brother.
brother.
Right.
So
Uh-huh.
growing up as the oldest was tough for me, and I always wish like I had an older sibling to kind of share the weight of the expectations, or at least just kind of somebody to bounce off, like if I'm going through something, somebody to talk to and help me with what I'm going through, but I didn't have that. Do you happen to remember meeting Joey?
I think it was just you. I just know his name, and I think we were too young.
Yeah.
I feel like you're the only one that could make out what happened, what happened in the past, because I don't remember, nor would I like have asked daddy, back
Yeah, you
then.
guys were all
So
young, and I just remember seeing him once, and he kind of looked like our dad, but I remember meeting him once, and he kind of gave me a dirty look, which it's like in the Philippines, it's kind of taboo, like having like another family, not like here in the US, not so much that it's not taboo here, but what I'm saying is like it's not frowned upon as much as it is like in the Philippines. They're like, oh, you're an illegitimate child, like
illegitimate.
it's such a
Uh-huh.
big deal, it's such a big problem. And so the siblings, they all kind of don't get along, or they don't treat each other well. But here I feel like they're a little bit more open to that, I guess. I don't know. But But yeah, I didn't really know him. I just remember when we were in Missouri already that he wrote a letter to our dad, and he was kind of like demanding money and then saying like how he was not a good dad, whatever. Cause I think maybe he was trying to get help. Like his mom had passed away. So he didn't have a lot of money. So he was trying to ask for money, but I don't think that daddy like sent him any money. But fast forward to 2003, 2004 is when he mentioned, I mean, like, I'm very close to my dad. So he basically talked to me about it. And, he mentioned that he had a daughter and he thought that she was in the US already, specifically in New Jersey, actually, which was really weird. And I don't know exactly where he was getting his information from, but somehow he
Yeah.
knew that they used to live in New Zealand and then moved to Australia and then happened to move to New Jersey. So I don't know where he got the information from, but he'd never met her. He'd never seen her. He just knew of her. So yeah, I did a little digging. And at the time, like we didn't really have social media like we do now. Like at the time,
So how did you do your digging?
there wasn't social media at the time. I think like Facebook was just like almost coming out, but it wasn't there yet. But there was a thing called Friendster at the time. And so
Oh, I remember
a
Friendster.
lot of the Filipinos, because I had classmates in the Philippines, and so they were all on Friendster. And so I was on Friendster too. So that's where I kind of looked because he gave me enough information for me to look for her. So that's where I started my research.
Wow. Your research. How did you get to reach out to her? Like an email address from, or, oh, you can do like a private message, like DM for Instagram now, basically, right? So you like private messaged her through Friendster, and that's how like it all began.
Yeah. So I found a girl named Audrey that matched all of the information that our dad gave us. And so I basically just reached out to her, like you said, through like a private message. And I explained who I was and I explained kind of the background on how I got her information or who I think she is. And she did confirm that she was the person that I was looking for. When I first reached out, I remember it took like a month before she reached out because it just so happened that at the time that I reached out, she went to the Philippines. So she was out of the country. And so that's why there was a delay in her responding. So I thought, but at the time, like, cause like she didn't respond for a month. So I was thinking, oh my God, nothing to do with me or like, oh, maybe she's a snob, whatever. So then when she finally replied, we chatted for a few months and then eventually, she was ready to come to Missouri, I think to meet us more than to really meet our dad. I think she was nervous about it. And I believe her mom was also kind of leery because she didn't know exactly like what we wanted from her. So, she was just trying to protect her daughter, which I understand. So, but she made the decision. I think she was was she in her 20s then? I can't remember. Yeah,
Yeah.
she was.
No, she'll be in her 20s.
Yeah.
Anything that's past 2000 is we're all in our 20s.
Oh,
by then.
okay. So we were in our 20s when we met our bonus sister, but she came to Missouri, and of course, like it was awkward at first, and she was kind of shy.
But you said 2003, right?
2004, because that's when my daughter was born, my
Okay.
third daughter. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So then yeah, she'll be like 22-ish
Okay.
already that time.
Yeah. So I was.
But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I was on maternity leave at that time when I had reached out to her. And like I said, we were chatting for a few months before she decided she was ready to come meet us. And so, like I said, when we first met her, it was, it was awkward at first because she was shy and she was also like very godly, because she was, well, because she was very active at church. And I thought, oh my God, like I have a saint for a sister, was what I thought. But
yeah, she was shy.
Yeah, she was shy. And then, she did say that she's always dreamed of having a big family because her mom had a lot of siblings. And so she's always dreamed of having that many siblings. And then here we go, like, bam, all of a sudden she had 4 siblings in us. So that's how everything came to full circle.
Yeah, now it's just she's part of our lives for the past almost 22 years. So that's really crazy. Like you just talking about it in 2004-ish and then now 2026. I mean, after COVID, it's just hard to like really just kind of see everybody. But then, like occasionally we'll get to have like our meetups and family reunions kind of thing. But yeah, we try to be there for like the milestones, right? I feel like that was like the last one that we did almost with Richie's, which was kind of sad that we couldn't, but when he turned 40, I know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, like we do try to be there. I mean, the very last one was Alyssa's 18th birthday, which is my daughter's 18th. So that was the last like family,
Event.
reunion, yeah, for our side. So it was nice to see everybody.
Yeah. So what were
Yeah.
your thoughts about Audrey? Because I remember when we first met her, like I thought like you guys were close. And so in a way, like I'm very jealous, especially when it comes to my sister, like Myra, because like I said, we're close. And so I used to be like, oh, you guys are close, blah, blah, blah. And so I was a little jealous at the time.
I honestly think that we were in our 20s, so meeting Audrey, definitely awesome. But then I feel like for me and her, we kind of just have this like friendship bond more than a sisterly bond, if I'm being honest. And I think she kind of feels that same way. I feel like she's more, not protective, but she's more like kind of want that sisterly bond with you, if I'm being honest.
Oh.
So even though you thought that because me and her lived in New
Mm-hmm.
Jersey that we're gonna just have that bond, I feel like she still longed for the ate,
Mm-hmm.
like you ate, not me ate, in my opinion. So even though we're not as close, I feel like want her to know what's going on in the family, my side of the family and everything, and I want to also know what's going on with her family and everything. I don't know. It's definitely different. We all have different bonds. Like even with Ryan and Richie, we all, and I don't think it's a disrespect or anything like that. One is closer than the other or whatever. I don't think neither of our siblings would kind of like feel that way. So it's not like it's like we all kind of have our own bonding. Let's say like with Ryan, I would could talk to him about something, and then with Richie, I could talk with him about something. Same thing for Audrey. But then I feel like with you is the most that we could bond because being a mom and if I have advice, if I need advice in regards to my children or just kind of like random like women stuff, I would ask you. So I know, like, I mean, I'm going everywhere with this, but then I just feel like we all have that bond with each of our siblings.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm going into that tangent.
No, it's not
So
a tangent. It's totally understandable that, of course, like each of us are going to have like a different bond with each other, right? And
mhm,
I do think that I want to say at least the good thing about us and how we welcomed her into our sibling group
mhm,
is very much different than how they would do it in the Philippines. Because, like I said, in the Philippines, if you aren't from the same like mom and dad, the the bond won't be there, and then they're like mad at the other sibling for existing, which is not their fault, right? Not their fault. It's totally the
right.
dirty.
Oh my God.
Yes,
I,
absolutely,
I can believe you're still talking like that.
absolutely
That's
the
so
dirty fault. So,
No, I honestly think in our case, the reason why she was a part of our lives is because all of us definitely want her to be there. And of course, she wanted to be part of our lives too. But also, we are a modern family and we
ooh,
grew up
modern
in America
family.
for. Yeah, well, because like we all grew up in America more so than the Philippines. So our perception of finding out that we have a sister is not like a bad thing for us. It's more like, oh my God, like it's out of her control what happened in the past, right? And if she wants to have a part of her life with us and we do too, that's all that matters. If the adults don't want to do anything with that, then that's on them. But for us it's like we want to kind of get to know her and for her to be part of
Hmm.
ours. There's nothing wrong with that for sure.
Yeah, and I know that she's probably still not going to feel the same way that we all, like you, me, Ryan, and Richie all kind of feel about each other because we all grew up together and she didn't. So there's going to be those memories that she wasn't a part of. So I totally understand why, like sometimes maybe she would feel left out because when we're going back and reminiscing on some of the things that, some of the jokes, some of the strife that we had when we were kids, she wasn't there during that time. But also, it's not her fault. Yeah. And, it's also not our fault that she wasn't included in that. It wasn't our choice. But, I do think that we all welcomed her, and we still do, and we love her and want to make sure that she is welcome and feel like, she's a part of our family.
Yes, definitely. Like you said, like certain things that are out of our control, I think none of our siblings fault us for anything, but it's just like a person can't take away feeling in a way like left out when there are those inside jokes. So, that's something I think that if you guys have family members, same thing like what we're going through, that's something that I'm sure you guys might have like deeper stories than ours. Ours actually had a happy ending, and I know that there's a lot of the families out there that they do find out that they have like bonus siblings and it doesn't turn out to be a good thing or there's no happy ending. So we just wanted to share this because we wanted to kind of like let you out there know that even though our story was like kind of like shocking, it's a good thing for us. We had the bonus sister, we had like an extra sibling that we didn't expect, but we welcomed her with open arms, and we were happy that she welcomed us back with open arms. And so I do hope that was like a good inspiration for you guys to kind of share your own stories. If you guys have any of those stories that you also found out, like how old were you when you found out that you had like an extra sibling or family, like your dad's family, extra family or something, or mom, doesn't have to
You're
be dad.
right. Like, we can't discriminate. So, it's
Exactly,
not only dads that have a dirty, past, but a
oh my
dirty
god,
past, like women can make poor choices also that could affect their family. But, sometimes family isn't always just who you grew up with, it's also who you find along the way. So, like, even though you didn't come from the same parents, you could still welcome somebody into your life as being part of your family. So, but yeah, that's the mix that makes life worth sharing.
yes. And yeah, it's just funny how life throws these surprises at you. I would love to hear our brother's story and how they felt when they found out about Audrey. Honestly, there's no perfect family. I think anybody that hears this, even for someone that don't have siblings. So, for us, we're lucky to have a lot of siblings, and our kids have also multiple siblings. So for those people that are lonely and are like only children or an only child, sorry, if you're an only child, I'm sure you are finding ways to feel like a cousin is your sister or brother. Like Ata said, doesn't have to be like a blood relative. If it's like you guys bond in a way where they support you as close as a family as possible, that's, to me, it's a definition of family. It doesn't have to be blood relative or a sibling. So yeah, that would be my last kind of like thought of the day to add into this episode.
Yeah, no, that was great. So, but yeah, thank you for joining us for our third episode.
In the next episode, we'll talk more about our own family. So we'll dive in deeper on our responsibility as a mom to our kids and as a wife to our husband, that kind of stuff. And then, like you already know that Maureen lives in Missouri now and I live in New Jersey, and that also like kind of plays a role in that her kids are older versus my kids are younger. So like her stories as being a mom to her children is definitely going to be different from mine. But yeah, so we got plenty of those kind of stories, memories, moments that we want to share with you for our next episode.
So yeah, whether you're far from your siblings or just need a little nostalgia, we hope you feel a little closer to us and maybe even your own family.
So yeah, until next time, keep mixing life, laughter, and memories, halo halo style. See you next time on
Halo Halo Conversations. Bye.
Bye.